Hello, this is Randy Wooden. This is from the Wooden Desk. So grateful that you joined us today as we are continuing a series of next level leadership. Our prayer is all of us that our expectations for the supernatural and the extraordinary will begin to happen as we go to new levels. But yet most of us are challenged with areas. And really this is what we're dealing with over these episodes is areas that we are majorly challenged with today. And we've talked about all leaders are looking for new people in leadership. That's a challenge. We've talked about how all leaders are experiencing new pains in their journey. And so many times, whether it's externally or organizationally or internally, there are pains that we are wrestling with or trying to get through. In this last lesson, we talked about new places that we're finding ourselves in new places and yet trying to move our organizations into a new place and not having clarity with that. I hope this has been a blessing to you. But today we're going to deal with the thought that all leaders need people to provide new perspectives. New perspectives. You know, Bob Dylan, who is a singer and songwriter, once said he said he is not busy being born, he is busy dying. And I thought, wow, that's kind of profound in the sense. I believe it's important for us to gain insight and gain perspective from others. What I realize is getting perspective means focusing ourselves or even forcing ourselves to think in new ways. That's real hard for a lot of people because they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But I think it's very important for you to realize that there's a sense in which you have got to invest yourself in realizing that if where you're at is not where you want to be, then it's usually the thinking and the perspectives you have that have brought you to that place. So in order to go somewhere you haven't been, you have to begin to think in a different way. We have to be healthy enough to admit, I want you to hear this, we have to be healthy enough to admit we are not strong in every area. And I think that's important for us to realize. Not only that, but I believe there are always six what I call primary, how do I want to put this? Six primary origins of perspective. In the sense that usually it's in our family, in our upbringing, our friends, or even our foes. You know, you've heard the expression in the difficult times, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. You know, I've heard that, but I don't know necessarily if that's always true. But I think it's important to know what the adversary could do against you. Don't be ignorant of his devices or even people's devices. Not only that, but our culture is part of a reason we have perspective, the things we're receiving from culture. That's why you're seeing the commercials and media inundating the culture, because whoever wins the minds of the people, basically forms culture. And that's one of the wars that we're in. So family and friends and foes and culture, education forms our perspective. And then ultimately, ancient wisdom that we receive from others is what ultimately gives us perspective. Not only that, but attempting to be strong in every area many a times creates what I call an independent spirit. I know leaders, I know people who are leaders who they'd rather do it themselves so it'll get done right. And, you know, they do all of the work. And what I realize, it's healthier to have what I call a transdependent spirit. A transdependent spirit keeps us rooted, what I call in the past. It gives me context in the present, and then it offers me perspective into the future. I think this is so important for all of us. Jim Collins, who wrote a book called From Good to Great, reminds us that the years of research have proven that all 5 levels of leadership have an odd mix of genuine personal humility and intense professional will within them. And when I think about that, I think about leaders that have huge egos are ultimately becomes a deterrent in their organizations. So staying in a place that is humble, in serving even in a place of servitude, is so important in organization. Not only that, but I believe it's important when we talk about this area is you must be, or you must get comfortable with people who know more than you. Now, what I realize in this area of new perspectives is that I don't think I'm one of them who think I know more than you, but I think that some leaders have the arrogance of not listening and realizing that somebody does have something to say, and they might have something that could keep us from a point of breaking or a point of danger if we would just be a little more sensitive. I think I heard, this has been a few years ago, I heard it's where several church consultants done some research and came together for this consultant summit where the top 75 consultants came together, and they tried to learn what is the church needing. And one of the very number was up toward the top of the list. I don't remember number 1, 2, 3, something like that. That churches were saying, "Listen to us." They don't feel like nobody's listening to them, and I think sometimes as leaders, sometimes we're not getting perspective from our people or from other leaders. And I think this is important for us to realize that there are people who are smarter than us in our organizations that we might can glean from. Not only that, but when you're searching for new perspectives, the place to find it is by connecting to other people. And yet, try not to be the smartest person in the room. You know, some people, we don't want them to think we might not know the answer. I think sometimes it's okay to say, I don't know. And I think it's a sad place to get when we begin to think we cannot learn from other people in the room. So we need to start searching for those new perspectives. Not only that, but let me just say this. I need to be around people who know more than me, because then I can walk away knowing more than I did when I walked in. And that's my prayer as you listen to something I say, that something will be spoke that when you turn this off, you'll say, man, that was good. I needed to hear that. So again, what you know is what you know. I'm grateful for that. And it may be a lot, but I believe when we listen, we open ourselves up to new perspectives of how we think, and we see something in the area. I've always been a leader who asks a lot of questions. And it always with open questions gives me an opportunity to glean information that is so needed for me to be the best leader that I can be. A number of things go into this, but also this area of healthy leaders don't see others' ideals as a threat, rather as gifts. I'm going to say that again. Healthy leaders don't see other ideals as threats. They see them rather as gifts. Sometimes when somebody says something, it challenges something that is going on in your organization. And sometimes because you created it, you take ownership and you want to protect and guard it. And even though it may be declining or be in a place of status quo, you protect the status quo. And you have to be very careful with that. Not only that, but when you are a leader, or when you are healthy, you ask others, what do you think? And receive from their perspective. When's the last time you sat down with your leaders and simply said, what do you think? What do you think about, pulse them? And I've talked about pulsing in past sessions where you're simply sitting down and asking you, what's right? What's missing? So I'm going to talk about 10 things ultimately that I believe are tools to gaining new perspective. So that's where I really want to go today. So I was kind of leading into this, but 10 tools to gaining perspective. Number one, as yourself, there's a book entitled As Yourself. Peter Drucker basically asked these questions. He said, what is our mission? Who are we trying to reach? What does those people value? What is our plan? And what are our results? I like that. I think that's very important. When we begin to ask the questions of gaining new perspective, we have to ask those questions. Let me say them one more time if you're writing. What is our mission? What are we trying, or who are we trying to reach? What does these people value? What is the plan? and what are our results, or what are our desired results. And I think it's very important for us to be able to dialogue to get to that place where those things are clear. Not only that, but I think we need to examine and clarify what you mean constantly. You know, I'm learning that I have to word craft things differently, and I have to continue to give myself in the essence of this. I think that's very important. Not only that, but offer who you are. And what I mean by that is, I believe in order to gain new perspective, you have to be willing to offer yourself in a sense of saying, hey, I need this. And I can, please, you know, in the essence of you putting yourselves in a place of availability to receive that new perspective. Not only that, but recertify yourself each year. Now, what do I mean by that? Change is always necessary. You cannot assume that just because something works today, that it's going to continue to work tomorrow. You know, you must be willing to evolve or you will stagnate. You know, in the essence of this is that this is giving yourself to new learning. Now, given that you're always encountering cycles of change, that we have to stay ahead of the curve, so to speak, and regularly be asking ourselves, what changes do I need to make? If I don't, we'll just be a part of the continued landscape as it is. And yet we need to ensure that we're regularly recertifying ourselves by making changes before the need becomes critical. It amazes me so many times that the area that we're struggling with is an area we were struggling with in the past, and it still has not been resolved. And so many times it's because we're not willing to make the changes. Sometimes that change starts within, and it starts in me. Number 5 is commit to a personal development program. You know, personally, professionally, financially, relationally, spiritually, educationally, all of these areas. Now, if I was to sit down with you, and one of the things we do is we have 3 phases of consulting. One of the first phases is this self-awareness, this organizational awareness and discovery, where you begin to discover areas. But if I was to talk and sit down with you as a coach, I would be asking personally and professionally and financially and, you know, relationally and spiritually and educationally, all these areas of beginning to draw out, where are you developing? Where are you giving yourself to in order to be the next level leader? I think this is very important. I know a lot of people have used next level stuff, but it's a desire, whether we want to say it or not out loud, to say it out loud. We want to go to the next level, whatever that's supposed to be. But when we know what it's supposed to be, it really helps. And part of that is bringing new perspective, because when a new perspective is brought in, sometimes it can be a new perspective out of the wisdom of somebody who has been there and done that. It can be a perspective that is out of the spirit, where somebody has just said something that has profoundly affected you in your spirit. It could be somebody who is just an area, who is an organizational business person who gives you insight to structure or systems that is going to help you in an area of going to the next place. Not only that, but number 6 is focus on personal disciplines. This is a critical factor in that, and I'll coin it 4 ways, is tell the truth, respond, respect everyone, and read widely. I'm going to say that again, is tell the truth. And what I mean by this is, when we begin to talk about areas of new perspective, we got to be willing to receive the truth from somebody, but we got to be willing to tell the truth. I can't. I'm broke. This thing I'm leading is got to get fixed, and I don't know how to do it. That's telling the truth. Responding to somebody who gives you an answer is very key to them being engaged and inviting them. You know, sometimes God will send somebody by who can really be a difference, but we have to be willing to respond correctly and receive what they say. Not only that, but respect them. Respect everyone. And then read widely means that you're reaching outside the circle. You know, it's amazing to me. We stay within our circle and we keep asking questions that are not being answered. Then why do we think it's going to change? We have to go beyond. the circle and pull in other individuals. And again, I've said it in the past. Sometimes it's going out and having lunch with somebody. Say, can I buy your lunch? Tell me about what you're doing. Have questions written down beforehand. If you know they are at a destination that you're wanting to be in, leadership, or a destination in their organization, and you say, really, I sense that that's where I need to be and that's where I'm going. Learn from them. Not only that, number 7, remember that the learners beat the learned. I want to say that again. That the learners beat the learned. I like what Aaron Halford said, these words. In times of change, learners will inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. I love that quote. I think it's important for us to realize we got to keep learning. And of course, we're going to talk about in our episode here shortly about one of the areas of new perspective is new preparation. The new preparations that got to be made. But I think this is important in this session to ask that question. Are you gaining those perspectives that you need? Number 8 is be content to be a work in progress. Receiving correction is all a part of the process. And in being a part of that process is realize, it's the old song my little girl used to sing when she was small. God's still working on me to make me what I ought to be. God is working on us. And where you are is a very crucial place to who you're becoming. And if you don't add new perspective, you will remain. I think that's important for all of us to realize. And then number 9 is remember, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Now, do you ever outgrow those thoughts of, are we there yet? It's kind of a syndrome, oh, when are we going to get there? But yet mistakes are not viewed as fatal, because sometimes we're not where we are because, we are transitioning. And probably one of the words that I embraced, but was yet a horrifying word that I seemed like from day one in the pastoral world that I was in, was this area of transition. It seemed like we were always transitioning. Really, what I realized is we were transitioning, but we were retooling, we were renewing, we were, recalibrating, we were, it just always we were always rebooting. And what I realized is, some of us need a reset. I get that. But I think it's important for us to understand the importance that, we're in a journey together. Enjoy the journey on the way to the destination. I had a key friend who continually reiterated that to me because I could be too serious. And he'd say, you need to laugh more. You need to lighten up. You're too serious. And the sense is you can get so lost in where you're going, you can't celebrate the wins of what's going on. And you're like, yeah, some of you are not in your head and you know that so clearly. And then number 10 is 3 questions to ask yourself at the end of the day. What did I learn from that person today? Or what did I learn today? How did I grow today? And what will I do differently? I think questions are very important. Those 3 questions, what did I learn today? How did I grow today? What do I do differently? Are questions you need to ask yourself on a regular basis so that you can gain perspective. I have 2 closing questions that I want to ask you. First of all is, do you listen to other people's perspectives, or do you only have one and that's yours? The second question is, why is it important to listen to other people's perspective? As I close this and you dialogue and process over this, I really want you to ask that question. Do you really listen to other people's perspective? Do you allow it to challenge your convictions or your belief systems, your direction? I think that it's important for us to grapple and wrestle over some of the things that we do and we believe, because it strengthens them, or it ultimately may cut some things away that are not needful in our leadership. Well, anyway, with this being said, I believe it's important for us today to realize, without a doubt, all the leaders are looking for new people in leadership. All new leaders are experiencing the new pains of in their journey. Leaders are finding themselves in new places. And today, again, all leaders need to provide new perspectives. I hope this has been a help to you. Please take time to do some dialogue and reflection over this. I look forward to seeing you in our next session as we talk about new priorities. May God bless you. May He make His kingdom grow in you and all around you. Have a great day.